Hi, I'm Izzy, and welcome back to the Gleeson First Time Buyer podcast. We've created this podcast to help you on your home ownership journey, and we'll be covering everything from interior tips to finance advice and everything in between, with some amazing guests joining us along the way. You'll be able to find our podcast on the most common streaming services, but also on our YouTube channel, which you can find by searching Gleeson Homes. For the second part of our fifth podcast, we're back with our fantastic field sales manager, Daisy, who's answering all your questions, which has been recently submitted on our Instagram and Facebook stories. Welcome back, Daisy. Thanks for joining me again.
Thanks for having me.
If you could introduce yourself to our new listeners and tell us a bit about your role and what you do at Gleeson Homes.
Yeah, so my name's Daisy and I am one of the field sales managers for West Yorkshire. So a little bit about my role itself. I'm sort of the bridge between what goes on in the business behind the scenes and what goes on site. So from everything putting the customer first to then looking at the business needs. Yep. So I sort of bridge that gap in between. I've been with Gleeson for just over 3 years and I absolutely love it. It's great. It's a great place to work.
Perfect. That's very fitting. So if we could start with our first question submitted by Chloe Milner. She wants to know what your favourite house type is.
Oh, my favourite house type never ever changes. It's the Renmore.
Okay. Can you describe it to us a little bit?
I can, yeah. So visually, it's really, really pretty. It's very central. You walk in, you've got your nice hallway. Nice. And then you've got your living room and your kitchen diner. Mm-hmm. They are both at the opposite side, so they're separate. Okay. And then you've got your stairs leading up in the hallway. Yep. And then it's sort of like a U-bend landing as well, which is really quite nice. I know. This way. It's really, really pretty. And we do that in the Renmore is the detached property, 3-bed. Mm-hmm. And then we've got a Wexford, which is the semi-detached version. Okay. But then if you were looking at a 4-bedroom, we've got the same design and layout, which is the Carlo house type. Mm-hmm. But that's my favourite one. I love that one.
I think mine, not that anyone's asked me what my favourite one is.
What is your favourite house type, is it?
I really love the Kilkenny. I think it's probably from, in our last podcast when we chatted to Liv, we went round to her house and she lived in a beautiful Kilkenny, which has got the exposed stairs and it was just spacious and yeah.
It's got quite a cottagey feel, that one though, hasn't it? With the stairs in the lounge. It's a really good sized living room is that as well.
Yeah. If I was to buy a Gleeson home, Kilkenny would be the ones I would go for, 100%. Mm-hmm. So our second question, we had quite a few people actually ask about the garden of a Gleeson home. So we've had Jess Hildreth asking, how do we find out the garden size of a plot? And we've also had Charlotte Alexandra asking, is back garden turf included in the house price? If you would be able to talk about just a bit about talk us through basically the garden process.
Yeah, of course. So in terms of specification, turf would be something that would fall under specification. Okay. And every development and plot are specific, have different specifications. So my advice, first of all, on that one would be to contact your sales executive at your chosen development and just get the information from them on what's included in the specification of the plot that they're interested in. In terms of the garden sizes, this is a really, really good question. What we tend to do, and what I've advised people in the past, is we try and replicate the floor area to the garden size.
That's interesting.
If they're wanting a little bit more accuracy in terms of measurements, what I would maybe advise is speaking to your sales executive at the development and seeing if they could just have a word with a member of the site team to maybe get some more accurate measurements for them. Yeah. That's something that we would maybe discuss at the 28-day options meeting as well if it was something that they were wanting. Yeah. So I hope that's answered that question.
It has indeed. We've also had a few questions about options and incentives. We've had a question from Rebecca Gilbert asking about flooring and the options that she could have with that. And we've also had a question from at SC1707 just asking about outside lighting. If you could talk to us about what options there are, what comes as standard, if we have any incentives.
Again, obviously, when it comes to specification, it's development specific.
Yeah.
So I would definitely be speaking to your sales executive on site to get some more information from there. What I would say is Gleeson have got a wide range of optional extras that they can choose from.
Yeah.
And you can tailor that to your property. That's another perk of buying a new build. You can really make it your own and put your own stamp on it.
Yeah.
In terms of flooring, again, we do have certain incentives, plot development specific.
Yeah.
The first place I would probably go to is the website. If we have got any offers running, they will be visible on there for you to see. We don't necessarily do flooring as standard, but again, it would be development and plot specific. But we do have the option to purchase it with us. And one of the great benefits of obviously purchasing flooring from Gleeson is that the carpets will be laid, the carpets will be fitted prior to you moving in. So they're not moving in, with dusty floors or it's nice and warm and cozy and
you just want to walk in and
absolutely
have it all there for you.
It really, really does make the difference. Yeah.
Wonderful. So we've had a question from @Jenny_16 who's asking, can you visit your house inside from plasterboard stage onwards?
So that's a good question. And recently we have sort of changed the way that we do things.
Okay.
Previously, we did used to say to people that once it's at plasterboard stage, you could come in and have a look round. The reason for that was so that there weren't exposed wires, the walls were all in place. But what we now do is we do the reservation. And once you've completed your reservation, 28 days later, we will book in your home options meeting. So that meeting will take place with a sales executive, a member of the site team, the site manager, and we will go through any drawings that you'd like to look at again that we didn't cover at reservation, any technical questions. We'd also be going through all your options and choices, so you'd be able to design your kitchen.
This is the real exciting part where it gets fun.
Yes. But at that appointment as well, what we will also do is actually do a plot visit.
Okay.
Now, this is also dependent on if it's safe to go onto site. Different developments have different stages of build depending on where you're at, so we always have to make sure that it is safe to go onto the development, and it would be the site manager that would have to confirm that. So depending on where you're at in build, it might be that you get to see a plot at plasterboard stage. It might be that you're seeing it at foundation stage, which is build stage 4. From that point, we wouldn't then be inviting you in to view your property until the home demonstration.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't want to see my property if it had wires hanging out of the wall or it didn't have the walls fitted.
I was just thinking it might
and
give
it wasn't bright and white and,
Yeah, especially if you've just had your options meeting and you've kind of got all these exciting visions and then you walk in and it's not quite what you're imagining. I completely understand that, actually. I think I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and we want to take that time with you to demonstrate the home. Walk around, answer any questions that you may have. Can't really do that when you've got walls that aren't completed and you've got wires hanging out. So that's
some
the reason
things that
for
can be kept behind the scenes to the builders to do.
So it isn't actually something now that we do going forward.
Okay. We have also had a question from Kelsrich, who is asking, how long do we need to wait until we can change things to the front of our house or garden?
Ooh, interesting question. So we have covenants in place at Gleeson, and they are in place for the first 5 years.
Okay.
So the reason why that particular covenant is in place is because visually, whilever we're selling on a development, we like to have the look and feel for the development is in keeping with the rest of the houses that are on there.
Right, so when people are coming into the sales centre, they drive through and it's...
Absolutely, it's all the same, it's all in keeping.
Okay.
The products all look the same for what we're selling. One of my advice would be, because we do landscape the fronts of the gardens, maybe just water them from time to time, keep the grass looking nice and things like that. But that's the reason.
So one of our final questions we've been asked, if you could help answer, Daisy, is Ames Patterson is asking, how often do plots get released on the developments?
So we tend to release plots sort of about 3 or 4 at a time, maybe.
Right.
We do actually have to follow a build route. So when we come to release properties for sale, it's where we're currently building and we're following the process of releasing the houses in terms of what builder wanting to build.
Okay.
So just to give you an example, we wouldn't necessarily start building houses over here and then building houses over here or doing one here and one here.
Yeah.
We have to follow a build route.
Yeah.
One of the nice things about it as well, though, is obviously when you come to complete on your property, your neighbours will be completing at the same time. So we do follow a process.
Okay.
If there is a specific plot that she's maybe seen that she's interested in, my advice would be to contact the sales executive on the development. They will be able to give a sort of an indication as to maybe when it's going to be released or what sort of month it's sitting in, something along those lines, just to give them an idea.
Yeah.
But we can never be specific with dates on when they're going to be released.
Yeah.
But the first place they will always be released is on our website. So just make sure that you're inquiring on the website, that you want to be contacted, phone, email, registering for updates. And once they're released, they will receive an email from us to say so. Yeah.
Amazing. And our final question from this podcast is by Rebecca Gilbert. And she is asking, is there a Gleeson home site coming to Brig House?
Not that I'm aware of. We are expanding rapidly at the moment. It's a very, very exciting place to be. We do look at land all across West Yorkshire. I can't go into too much detail, obviously, about that, but we are looking at land all the time. So who knows, possibly in the future, we don't rule anything out.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and I hope that you've enjoyed being here as well, answering all the questions submitted by our customers.
I have. It's great. Yeah, it's lovely. I think now, especially doing what I'm doing, I don't always get to see the customer as much, so it's been really nice to sit and chat with you today.
Amazing. So that concludes our part 2 episode with Daisy. Thank you so much for joining us, and make sure you subscribe to our podcast on all the common streaming sites, and also follow us on Instagram at gleeson.homes so you don't miss an episode, and also so you can have a say in what's coming up on our upcoming podcast episodes. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.